Hello, Nerf friends. We are almost to the end of the year. I'm running out of time to review blasters that I've had and haven't had a chance to touch. And you know what? I've come to peace with that. It's been Christmas. It was my birthday on Boxing Day. It's going to be New Year's. We're not going to get to them all. But we are going to get to a couple more, like the Flip-32. Ooh, this looks like something out of a video game. You may wonder, hey, do you have any of the other Flip blasters, like the Flip-8 or the Flip-16? And the answer is no. The Flip-8 wasn't super interesting to me. It just wasn't enough capacity for the gimmick, which is weird. I love gimmicky blasters. I can't explain it. It didn't appeal to me. And then the Flip-16, which is starting to get to a point where I'm like, ooh, that's kind of neat. I watched some reviews and that stock, it didn't seem great. So I changed my mind. I said, nah. Then when I saw this one, like, things are getting crazy enough. I want one. And if I'm going to have one of them, I want it to be the big one. So when this went on sale for like 50 bucks, I treated myself to it. Merry Christmas. I treat myself to too many things. And here we are, and we're going to talk. I'm going to open it up. I normally like my Thanos snap to have the blaster all together, but I thought where this did have a bit of a unique thing where you had to assemble it a bit, I would wait and do that on camera. We have, you can tell that this is the one for the left of the blaster because it doesn't have the paint. So let's snap these on. Match the symbol on each barrel section to the same symbol on the blaster. Squares on one side, triangles on the other. All right, it is assembled. Oh yeah, there's a little locky thing for it. We're off to a bad start. Let's load it up. All right, we are fully loaded. I did have one kind of bad rotation the very first time, but seems okay since then. This thing does look cool. I love this faux power, power conduit here. The stock is actually kind of neat. This is a big chunky blaster. It feels like I'm holding some sort of swarm missile launcher thing. I think it looks really cool. I think it's kind of the biggest standout, certainly, of the Flip line. I don't know that I would use this in any of my games with kids. This seems just too heavy and cumbersome and complicated. But for me to have in my collection and to play around with friends outside, I think that might be kind of cool. Let's fire it a couple times. And I should mention too, I'm not addicted to performance blasters. I love performance blasters, but I also love weird, cool blasters. The 8 and the 16 just weren't enough to draw me in, but the 32 was. So, okay. Oh, that was pretty zippy. We'll run some over the chronograph after. I'm just going to take a few shots and get some first impressions. Okay, firing one at a time like a rough cut. I'm going to do another full blast. Do one more one at a time. Okay, I'm going to pull down on this little locking mechanism here and do a flip. Hey, that seemed to work pretty well. This is cool. There's a little bit of play in this, which makes it a little bit weird to be the thing that you're primarily using to hold it when you're priming this lever action bit. But it's not bad. It definitely feels pretty sturdy. I like this as much as I was hoping I would, just from a couple shots. We'll see what the chronograph says, but I mean, this is an air restrictor system, so the further down here we get as we're firing, our performance will, drop bit by bit. We'll see exactly how much when I fire some over the chronograph, but that's to be expected. This is almost like having 4 rough cuts that are spinning around. So this is pretty neat because I do love rough cuts. I think maybe that's why this was the Flip blaster to pull me in. It was comparable to an older blaster that I love so much. This is a rough cut, by the way. Whenever I mention another blaster or compare, it's kind of nice to show it. This is what I mean by this is kind of like having 4 of these all strapped together and spinning. The rough cut had that same feature, that it could fire 2 darts at once, or with a light trigger pull, ooh, I fired 3. Theoretically, fire 1 dart at a time. let's run some darts over the chronograph. I feel like with the weird size of this, this is going to be hard to get chronograph readings as you can see it. 59. 60. 58. 55. 52. And you know, things are going down lower as we are on that second row. 56. 53 to the third row. Oh, 49. 66. 40, that might have clipped my chronograph. We're on the last row. One last dart that doesn't want to fire. There we go. 57. Not stellar performance. Let's try a few more on the other side. Sugar. Shot 2. 61. 41. I think I hit my chronograph. 56. 53. 55. 48. So yeah, there's a bit of a sampling. The numbers are not super high. Kind of knew that going into it because of all the air restrictors and just how complicated this is. And you have that air moving such a long way to actually get to the darts, just because it has to kind of go through that rotating mechanism, and there's seals in there. There's just a lot of places for losing air. I'm going to stop talking about that here because it's not super interesting to just be staring at my chronograph while I talk about it. But still, this is, as a close-ish range thing, this is something where you can just make someone cower behind a barricade. Well, there you have it. Nothing too shocking for performance, but I would say I'm impressed with it considering how complicated this is and how many air restrictors are in it and this flipping mechanism. I mean, this is a lot of stuff going on in a kid's toy. And that's my favorite thing. That's when Nerf, I think, shines, is when we get into these really complex mechanisms and gimmicks. You know, they're not going to be the performance king, and that's okay. I hope they keep doing this cool stuff here. Dart Zone has the performance stuff covered, and modders have performance things covered. I think we just need more solid blasters that do what they say on the box, and I think that would be great. This is a fun one. I will pull this out in games for sure. Some of these bigger Nerf blasters, it is difficult for me to figure out who they're aimed at. You know, this is pretty big and heavy and unwieldy for a kid. For a teenager, they're getting desperate for higher FPS stuff, or even, you know, I have a lot of friends who their kids really want to get into airsoft and, you know, paintball, which I think is a shame because they don't know what they're missing. And that's why I like introducing kids to some of the higher FPS stuff. But anyway, for something like this, I would be hard pressed to recommend this to a kid, even though I like it. I would recommend it. If you're watching this and you're interested in it, get it. Is it aimed at me? That seems like a niche market, but maybe not. I don't know. I'd love to hear from you guys. Maybe some of you have kids that have this and they love it. I don't know. I don't know who it's aimed at, but if you can get a good price on it, I don't know about full price, but if you can get a good price on it like I did, I would recommend this. It's fun. I just don't know if I'd buy it for a small kid. I wonder if it's the last flip that we'll see, or if I'll find some of the other ones and eventually complete the trio. We'll see. I just realized I didn't check for Slamfire. Man, Slamfire would be awkward here. Let's try though. Oh yeah, you can't Slamfire this. What am I thinking? Can I Slamfire this somehow? No, you can't. I need to do some looking online. I don't know what kind of mod potential this one has. It feels like it would be getting into a lot, but man, you could make this thing look so cool with a better paint job. I think I'm one of the few people I do not like the Elite 2.0 color scheme at all. I don't know why. I love blue. I love gray. I love orange. And I love green. I don't like that color scheme that much, but this one's cool. So, thank you very much for watching. And until next year, maybe, come back soon and find out what I'm flipping over next. Huh? No. Happy New Year.